Thank you so much and welcome to our participants. I am certain that they are as eager as me and the panelists to engage in this discussion around succession planning and AI as we are discussing safeguarding continuity in family businesses, a topic that we know is so significant as we continue to see how family businesses evolve locally and regionally. So again, very briefly to introduce our panel, we have Mrs. Ria Mankee Sookram, and she is an attorney at law, strategic advisor with a national vision for inclusive growth. She focuses on digital transformation and strong governance in Trinidad and Tobago. For those of you who continue to pay attention to the work that CCGI is doing, you would know that Ria is no stranger to CCGI and what she does for us. So an attorney at law, family business and family wealth advisor, author, Trinidad and Tobago, I present to you Ria Mankee Sookram. And our second panelist, Dr. Derek Gannes. He is the president of Dr. Gannes Enterprise Technology Consult Inc., Trinidad and Tobago. And we are so happy to have with us this distinguished leader in IT project management, change management, strategic leadership, and business analysis. He is a recognized authority in his field, and Dr. Gannes has consistently demonstrated his capacity to deliver transformative solutions and lead organizations through complex digital and strategic transformations on a global scale. And we are so happy to have you with us this year at Governance Week, Dr. Gannes. And our final panelist this afternoon is Rashir Manrat. And I want to make sure that I am pronouncing his name correctly. He is the CEO of Abracadabra Solutions and known as a serial entrepreneur with 9+ years of experience in business strategy, marketing, and ICT. Rashir combines visionary thinking with practical execution to drive growth and innovation. And he's also the founder of Abracadabra Solutions, where he is the CEO, focusing on building businesses that create meaningful impact. And we are so happy that you can join us from Suriname today. So without further delay, I am going to invite our panelists in the same order that I introduced them to give their opening presentation. So Ria, you up first.
Thank you, Kimberly, and good afternoon to Kamla and the CCGI team and my fellow panelists, Derek and Rushir, and to all participants. I know that it has been a long day, but such an informative day. So I want to start things off with a question based on our topic today. And I will ask you to please share your thoughts in the chat. What's the one thing that can derail the continuity of a family business? What's one thing that can derail the continuity of a family business? Let's get some answers going in the chat. Death of the owner, yes. Especially if there is zero succession plan, yeah. Anybody else wants to take a try? Only the death of the owner? There's so much things. Failure to evolve, yes, absolutely. Being only stuck in the past without that growth and evolution mindset, yes. So I thought about it, and I would say one of the ways in which family business continuity could be derailed is through secrets. Those things that we sweep under the rug. We'll deal with that when the time comes, which is at some undefined point in the future. But once we start using AI in succession planning, what we avoid, AI will actually bring to light. And in many family businesses, especially here in the Caribbean, succession planning, as we know, isn't always front of mind. It's something that we'll get around to. It's informal, it's delayed, and it's usually based on our unspoken assumptions. And we tend to comfort ourselves by saying that we're fine, everyone in the family knows what's going on and what their unspoken responsibilities and entitlements are. Until we realize, well, no, we're not good. Nobody had the conversations, nobody wrote it down, nobody verified it, and nobody is fully prepared to step into the role of a responsible steward of the family business. But today we have something that we've never had before. AI tools that could help us to build a proactive living succession plan, a succession constitution, if you will, because it is a living, breathing process to safeguard continuity. It's a process that allows us to mix the cold with the soul, blending the cold data, algorithms, the predictive intelligence, while still preserving the soul of the family business. And I want to share 2 ways that AI can help us to build our own succession constitution even from today. And the first thing is to get what's in my head to stay in the business. And we have this habit of carrying the most critical knowledge in the most unreliable storage system, our heads. Think about it. We forget the passwords that we use on a day-to-day basis. So what about the deeper things in a family business? The relationships that may have taken us years to nurture, our client preferences that took us years to uncover, the judgment of the founder, the wisdom that actually keeps the business going. And that is tacit knowledge. And that too has to be transferred as part of your succession constitution. And when someone leaves or they fall ill or they pass away, that's often the first thing that disappears. But AI gives us an opportunity to capture it before it's gone. And we don't need to be tech geniuses to start. Many of us already use the tools like Otter AI, Microsoft Teams transcription, Zoom AI Companion. And these are tools that can capture conversations and meetings in real time. And you're able to pull that knowledge from a leader's mind and make it accessible to the next generation. Now, you can also use tools like Notion AI or Obsidian. Those are more knowledge management tools, or even Copilot. And they help you to organize that knowledge into simple, searchable categories. So for instance, you could build a supplier cheat sheet. Who to call, when to call, those little extra details that could help keep that relationship strong, which is very unique to family businesses. That too also needs to be transferable as part of your succession plan. You could also build a section for client negotiation tips. What works, what doesn't work, and even make it bespoke to specific clients. You can go further and have a folder for key family decisions. Who made them, why they made them, and what were the circumstances under which it was made? What was the thinking behind it, whether it was the head, the heart, or the gut that made it? And in a family business, we can think that those are the kinds of decisions that are to be made using the head, the heart, and the gut. A step further would be to build your own AI chatbot to act as your founder's digital twin. And again, you can use tools like Copilot, or you can use ChatGPTs, custom GPTs, where you train the chatbot on decisions of the founder, their family values, and how they may have typically solved problems. So when the next generation is faced with a difficult question, they can ask, how would dad have handled this type of supplier dispute? What did mom usually prioritize when negotiating with client X? What was the rule we always followed when we are pricing our products and services? So it's like having the founder's wisdom available on demand, even after they've left the business. Now, for the next generation who might say, but I wouldn't want to make the same decision as my mom or dad. This is not about locking you into a past or taking away your leadership autonomy. It's about giving you that trusted reference point and a window into how and why decisions were made. In the previous session, Rahul Lildar from the Suriname, Guyana Chamber of Commerce, he summed it up well when he said that it is a shift from what would grandpa do to what would grandpa do today. So the next gen is now able to lead within a context rather than through guesswork. Now, the second way to help you build your succession constitution is to test with monopoly money and not the family's real wealth. So imagine seeing the impact of 3 different succession options on profits, family harmony, stakeholder trust over the next 10 years. So you're making a 2035 decision in 2025 with relatively less risk through using AI. And you don't need any complex, expensive software to start. Scenario rehearsal with generative AI is one of the easiest entry points. And you can start with tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and explore some of those potential outcomes. So for instance, you can ask ChatGPT, what could happen if our founder suddenly exits the business tomorrow without a clear successor? And I did that, and ChatGPT gave me, you might face a leadership vacuum, supplier confidence issues, key employee departures, and family governance disputes. Consider drafting an emergency succession protocol, identifying interim leaders, and communicating with key stakeholders now. Now, it may seem like a very generic answer to a general question because no other context was added to the prompt. But even from that answer from ChatGPT, just like that, you have now surfaced risks that may not have been openly discussed. Now, you can take that and use Google Sheets, Excel, to map it. In other words, your scenario is now that your founder exits suddenly. Your risk is now there is a leadership vacuum. Your impacted areas would be operations, suppliers, and family trust. And your immediate actions would be to appoint an interim leader, activate an emergency plan, and communicate quickly. So even if today you enter that into ChatGPT and you know from now that you haven't thought about an interim leader or you don't have any written emergency plan, you could start preparing for that now. You've just moved from the unspoken what if into a more tangible, visible, actionable plan. And you can even use AI to scan some of your current governance documents and ask it to flag certain succession risks that you might have missed. Now, if you are a larger family enterprise or you want to go a little bit deeper, you can invest in more data-driven simulations, but of course, those require a bit more advanced tools, Power BI or Monte Carlo simulations, which you can even run on Excel. But they would also require a bit more data, your financial records, leadership tenure, HR stats. And as we know, data is king when it comes to AI. So if you do have those larger clean data sets, the benefit is that you can run those stress tests, like what would happen to profitability if the success is delayed, or how does cash flow shift under different leadership structures. But I think for most family businesses, starting with that scenario rehearsals using generative AI is very low or no cost, easy to try, and it is useful today. So start rehearsing. Use AI as your family's practice ground. It's better to uncover the cracks in your plan while you're playing with the monopoly money rather than the real assets in the real game. Lose boardwalk, lose reading railroad in the rehearsal rather than the family business in reality. So thank you very much. I think my time is up and I look forward to continuing our conversation later. I
Thank
hand
you
you back.
so much. Thank you so much, Ria, not only for staying so much on point, but managing time very well. And before I hand over to Dr. Gannes, a couple things stood out to me, particularly even thinking about my own family business, just thinking about my parents have this recipe in their head, and how do we translate that and document it? Because even if we try, we can't get it right.
Yes.
And we make so many key decisions and then we forget as a group why we did those things. So
Mm-hmm.
when someone is deceased, we can't remember. And then when you have family divide, sometimes you have to think about it. And I really liked that you gave some ChatGPT, chatbots, Copilot, and some of the actual tools that can be used. So I myself started to make some notes here.
Right.
And what really stood out as well is you are saying keep that folder of key decisions because we won't make the same decisions as we grow, but we'll have some information to build on the foundation of the founders and what they've put in place. And
Yes.
really, the last thing for me, which I think is very interesting. I've just started with scenario rehearsals and using tools like Gemini, and that's just
Yeah.
one that actually stood out to me. So I
Mm.
think that was a really good presentation, and you two have set the foundation as we continue this dialogue and discussion. And just flipping hats now from a risk perspective from CariCRIS. Oftentimes, when we rate organizations, we recognize that the risk is higher in family-run businesses, particularly around succession planning. So, Dr. Digant, I'm so excited to hear from you now.
Thank you. Thank you, Kimberly. Well, how can I even add value to what Ria just mentioned? That was a fantastic, in my opinion, for me, seriously. And with this, quite a relevant topic now, because funny enough, just a few months ago, I started that succession planning, not only on paper, but actually discussing with my kids. My last boy, he's 18. He's more tech savvy. I have an older son, more business oriented. So I said, guys, I might be the head, so to speak, but this business is not about my business. This is ours. And I am expecting, at least I would like that to, when I die, because it doesn't matter if I die, is when. True, we don't know when, but it will happen. I do not want the Gannes Enterprise Technologies to die with me. That would be a waste of a legacy. Legacy is not just about money. It's about your family name, your family values, carrying on that generational legacy. Sorry to be repetitive there. Right? I wish I had the conversations, and with the older generation, they didn't talk about family carrying on the business really. It was a rare thing. And having that conversation didn't happen. And Ria is right. Everything went in their head. And just again, a few months ago, I started putting things down on paper, started talking to the kids. So it might be an uncomfortable conversation to have, but it's a necessary conversation to have, right? Forget about AI and all that just for a second. If you want legacy, you need to have the difficult conversations, even if you have a will or not, and so on. I'm not kind of probably diverted from the little topic just a bit, but it's all about succession planning. And with AI in particular, I mean, my business is truly it's Caribbean based, Canada, but truly international. My clients are all over the world. But going back to the point about being ready for that succession planning, especially with AI, I do a lot of IT training and a lot of business leadership courses. And trust me, if you don't keep relevant, you will die. That's why I put in one of the responses to Ria's question is if the business does not evolve. If I just stick to paper only, you're going to be left behind. You are going to be left behind. If I cannot talk the language with the younger generations and even with my generation about AI and how it can work to your advantage, you will not be able to continue and keep up. So you have to, and that's another difficult conversation that you will have with yourself. Be relevant or die, literally. And AI gives you always had a lot of risk in it. That's true, but there's so much positive, and I really like Ria's spin on it in terms of how you can really apply AI to benefit you, the person, your family business, and your legacy. It's all tied. Really, it's all tied. Be smart about it. Read. I'm not a reader. I might have my doctorate. I really don't like reading. But if I do not read, again, it will not be relevant, right? So there's so many AI tools out there. My very most favorite is actually ChatGPT. I use that a lot. And that I do not bother only, I mean, there's a whole lot of others, but I focus on ChatGPT and I use it to sometimes help me create some slides. If I have a meeting to go to, that's one of that's my conversation piece. If I can't quite put something down on paper, I use it. It gives me back responses. And I said, ChatGPT, you're onto something. And then we started having this conversation and it's right there. But that really, you use it to your advantage. Use it. And that is one of the fantastic ways of using AI technology. Use it to your advantage. Yes, there is a lot of the negatives, especially within the education sector. I mean, I just last year, couple of universities, I can't remember the name of the university, they had us to suspend some students because they use ChatGPT to write their paper, to write their thesis. And they didn't know that universities have the tools to figure out, hey, okay, that's not your work, you copied it. Plagiarism is a big thing. But going back to the main point about legacy, it is a huge risk if you don't keep up on it, if you don't put things in place and utilize the tools to your advantage, right? And have the conversations that I said with your family. And my son, going back to that, when he was like, wow, Dad, I didn't realize that you wanted us to be, I mean, but of course I do. And absolutely. I'm not doing this for me. I mean, yes, I'm benefiting now, but this is for you all, really. And I can see all of my kids being involved. Right now, I have a son-in-law. Well, actually, I have two son-in-laws. But one of my son-in-laws, he's with me now. He's the business development guru. He's the marketing guy. And he uses AI a lot. So he's involved in family. My eldest daughter, she's a social media guru. She uses AI to help with some scripts and all that as well. So here it is, you're creating excitement within your family using the tools and the family dynamics. You start building that. And I have to take Ria's advice. I really have to start put what's in here fully on paper so that when that happens, everybody knows, okay, this is to happen, that's to happen, this is to happen, without sticking a bit. It's just like having your, what's the name of that? Not your will, but well, I guess, okay, call it a will. Who to call? What's the first number to call? Who's whatever? Who's responsible? Who's the executive of the will, and all of that. So it's and I hope that made sense. I believe I'm done. So thank you for this. This was really exciting, and thank you, Ria, for such a great opening to this segment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Digans. And that is one of the things that most family businesses are challenged with. First, getting the interest of the other family members to continue this legacy. And we always want business owners using AI or non-AI tools to stay relevant. And I take the urge that both you and Ria have given with using at least the most simple and widespread ChatGPT to help you with presentations and speeches and all of those things. And one of the things that we don't often discuss when we open family businesses, even financial institutions now, they ask you when you go to get financing, what is your succession plan? And sometimes I had just a week ago a conversation with a family run business. I said, just go into ChatGPT or just Google. Like Google was always there. Get a template, start working on it, and you have those tools at your fingertips. And you spoke a bit about your family, your son-in-law being the marketing and business development person, your daughter being the social media guru. And we have seen, without recognizing the play of AI in decisions that we make, if we look at the analytics that social media give us, it will influence how we make decisions and how do we focus on clients and business development. So you really pulled out some great points there. So thank you again for that. And Rashir, over to you. Let's hear how you continue of this the spin that you've gotten.
All right, good evening, everybody. I want to thank the previous speakers as well. Really got my brain going as well. I'd also like to start with a question. So if you can let me know in the comments, what do you think the biggest change is currently for succession planning in this current business climate, as opposed to how the business climate was in the past? No guesses? Not enough information about the past. So let me try to clarify about that. The way the current business climate is set up, how the typical organization looks right now, a lot of organizations are technical, they're using AI, they're using a lot of SaaS products, they're on the internet, they're using, everything is basically done on a laptop versus in the past. People would do a lot more physical works. They would collaborate more. Some organizations weren't even online. But the biggest difference is the current business climate has a lot of different generations in one company. That is the current that is the biggest difference if we check it out with the past. So currently, most of the generations, most of the workplaces have up to 5 generations coexisting. And this is kind of unique. It's kind of unprecedented. For the first time in history, we have up to 5 generations in the same workplace. So we got like the traditionalists, the silent generation, the baby movers, Generation X is in organizations as well. And then we have the newcomers, the millennials and the Gen Zs. And currently we're already seeing millennial managers. We're already seeing Gen Z managers as well. And the different generations, they just think completely different. They have different values. They use technology different as well. So I think the biggest challenge will actually not be anything having to do with AI or AI implementation. Yes, AI is going to change the world. It's going to change how we do business. But the biggest challenge I see for small and medium enterprises is managing these different generations in one organization. And I don't think AI is ready for this. AI can be used for simple applications. My colleague panelists already talked about a few of them, like knowledge transfer and recording documents, so you know how the founder of the company thinks or how he wants to handle it, or it could be business information. You can use AI for analytics as well. You can maybe even use it to kind of predict what kind of skills are going to be important in the future. But the biggest difference between AI and humans now, and I'm saying now because AI is developing very fast, but the biggest difference is still in sensing. The AI is only as good as how much data it gets in. So the output is only as good as how good the input is, right? We humans, we still get data through our senses, to hearing, hearing, seeing, tasting, feeling the warmth as well. So we have a lot more sensors. So our brain is also capable of making higher level decisions and just processing a lot more data. And AI is not on that level. So the biggest challenge still is managing these generations. A little stat is that 6% of world organizations know how to effectively manage multi-generational workplaces. That's not a lot. That's only 6% of the world. And maybe you can take a look at your own organization. How well are you guys managing all the different generations? Because I've talked to other people as well, and I can see that most of the time a certain level of understanding is missing. the Gen Zers, they just don't get how maybe a baby boomer views a problem or wants to solve a problem. And that's equally true on the opposite side. Sometimes the millennials or the Gen X's, they don't understand how the Gen Zer thinks and what do they value. And until we can, as humans, come to an understanding of each other, then you're gonna clash. You're gonna have problems. So I think this is the biggest challenge for succession planning. I don't know if I have any time anymore. Just checking. Yes, I still have some time. All right. This era is that we're seeing an increased lifespan, but also people are choosing to work longer. Sometimes the laws as well that they need to work longer. So that's a big change. We're seeing accelerated cultural and technology change, and this is where AI really comes in. And I'm already seeing it on social media. And then you see like memes, young people share about their manager. Their manager doesn't know how to use AI, but he gets paid 2 or 3 times their salary. So there's already a gap existing and creating and only getting stronger. And that's something that's gonna be that you have to manage, because after a while, the people, the Gen Zs, they'll get disappointed and they'll maybe want to move to a different organization where they do know how to manage it. So yeah, another one is shifting of workplace norms. Remote work is something that's very popular now. It's also something that a lot of millennials and Gen Zers prefer to do. They just don't even see a reason to go to the office anymore. So hybrid setups are one way you can deal with that if you want to combine the physical, but also give the freedom to millennials and Gen Zers who want to work hybrid. But if you're willing to experiment, I think a lot of boomers and Gen X can also benefit from that, because maybe you have more time to spend with your kids. Maybe in your lunch break you can take with your son or daughter at home. Really, it doesn't cost anything to productivity, but it adds so much workplace happiness. Yes. So how would you like implement this in an organization? You'd have to focus on the generational diversity, and you gotta try to recognize the unique strengths and challenges of each generational group. And this is definitely something where AI can come in and help. AI is a great researching tool as well, so you can really try to segment it and have a unique approach for all of the generations, and talk to them how they want you to talk to them as a manager. You could try to create leadership models that are more inclusive and adaptable, especially adaptable because the current business climate is changing a lot. AI, there's a new product every week on the market, so it's changing so fast. You might be done writing out processes for your business, and boom, there's a new product. You gotta throw the processes in the garbage, and you gotta start again. So that's something you really have to focus on. And I think above else, tech savvy. If you still have a mixed generation in your company, you have to find a way to upscale the older generation and try to get them into the tech world. Get them to try out AI tools, get them to see how it's helping them as well. So use those AI tools to try to bridge that gap. And yes, that's about it, what I have.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Rashir. And you know, you might be my favorite panelist, and I shouldn't say that. And that's because I like the disruptors in the room. So being very disruptive, I like that. And you specifically touched on things that are close to me as well, which is the human element of things. So we often think, and my background is called HR. So, thinking about how AI versus HR, and we always having this discussion as HR practitioners, and often I'm on your side of the table, but when I listen to people like Ria and Dr. Legans, I'm so much like, oh no, this AI is here, and not to replace us. And I like that you pointed out how it affects the different generations, because even in my own workspace, we have numerous generations of persons and how to manage them. Fortunately, we do that hybrid thing very well in
That's great
terms
to
of
hear.
filling the gap, and hearing that 6% of organizations are really ready. I know that is going to change very soon. So one of the things that really stood out to me as well is upskilling, because many organizations now, particularly family-run businesses, you find the younger generation being ready to use AI and they want to implement it, but the founders of those organizations who are a little bit more mature, maybe hesitant and resistant, and you find that being a gap and sometimes causing conflict, because I make decisions based on what I know best versus the younger ones who want to make those decisions. So I really want Ria and Derek's perspective on some of what you've said, and really yes, we understand that humans have to feed the information into AI, but it's happening so fast. It's almost as though ChatGPT don't need anything more than 2 words to give you a whole speech. So, Ria, let me invite you to give your counter proposal on what this disruptive regime has really put out there.
All right. Well, I would agree with him actually. I am a millennial, and it's true, Rashir, that one of the biggest shifts in succession is that we're no longer passing the baton uh, to the next generation, from one generation to the next, right? It's that we are really trying to manage a relay race where multiple generations are running all at the same time in the same race. And it will naturally create friction. The entire family business system, because of how it is set up, there is inherent conflict. So trying to manage all of these generations working and possibly living with each other at the same time, it may create, or it can create, some friction, whether there are different communication styles, different risk appetites, right? And we even have different definitions of success for the family business. So yes, the real challenge may not be AI, and I think it's more alignment, getting that values
Exactly.
alignment, that vision alignment with all of the family members, whether they are from, the founding generation, the next generation, the second generation, third generation, and so on. And I would say that I also agree that AI doesn't feel the room, right? It doesn't sense the family dynamics, right? It can't read between the lines of a child telling their parent, I'm fine, I'm fine, but they actually are not.
I'm not fine.
Exactly. So what it can do is offer some kind of very neutral insight, and maybe act as a conversation starter to try to get the different generations in communication with each other. And that is something that is sometimes readily avoided. And actually, that's a nice segue into what Derek had mentioned, because, and thanks so much, Derek, for sharing your reflection on your succession journey, that your ongoing succession journey, because it really takes courage to have that succession conversation with your children. And especially to have that internal conversation with yourself, that is a different level of self-awareness, the recognition that I have to evolve so that the business could also continue. And I think that is also a very much overlooked step in succession planning, right? It's more than just handing over control. At the core, it's about trying as well to transfer meaning, your values, the relationship, the wisdom, not just the assets and the shares and the authority. And that often happens through intentional conversations, but also awkward and uncomfortable conversations, right? And I also with Derek's presentation, he mentioned that, it would be a legacy wasted, and that's not something that we want, and that is real when the family business dies. Not just that the door closes, but the purpose dies, the identity dies, the values are not passed down. And maybe that's where the role of governance comes into play. And even tools like AI could support it, not by replacing the human element, but maybe helping to govern or systemize what matters, the values, the vision, the rules, the memory, and so on. So yes, that would be my thoughts on both Derek's and Rushir's wonderful presentation. It's getting me thinking even more now.
Yes, thanks so much, Ria. I mean, as we continue to dig deeper into what each other is saying, it helps us to change, even think about comparatively what we believe in our own businesses, and what is the training we have, or what is our perspective when you have different, because even on this panel, we have different generations here, and how the discussion flows. So, Derek, I'd love to hear what are your perspectives on, I know you commented a bit on Ria's submissions, but really on Rashir's as well, and really how it aligns, because you use your own family business as an example of having your own children and the different areas that they work in. So are you seeing this happening? Are you seeing the different generations, and who's using it versus who's not using it? Are they upskilling you to make sure that you get what's out of your brain on paper so that they can continue this legacy that you're building for them?
Yes, I like Rushi's term, generational diversity. Love it. I wrote it down on paper here. I'm in technology, but I'm still a paper boy. Seriously, it's crazy. But I'm organized in that way, though. I'm organized in that way. No, what I like about, and I think we as humans, I would say that have as an advantage is to what Rushi, is that right? Rushi, is that how you pronounce it? Rushi? Okay.
Yes, it's
Is
correct.
that
Yes.
okay, cool. That personal touch. I mean, that doesn't say AI may not give you that next 10 years or 5 years. I don't know. But I think that's the advantage that we have. And but again, and I'll link it to my family. I have a son, fantastic boy. He doesn't like people. His words. But I said, son, you want to be this Olympian because he's a track, he's in track and field, really, really good. And I said, you're gonna have to be around people anyway. And link it to the business. If you want to be part of this business, this is a people business. Yes, we do technology and all of that stuff. But that's what has been one of the successes with my family business, which I'm trying to pass on. Do not take out the personal touch from it. And that is very, very key. I think AI could, yes, it makes things done fast and all that, but as yet, it's missing. Rishi is right. Ria is right. It's missing that piece, which I think will still give us that advantage for the next few years, right? I watched a movie a little while back. I can't remember the name, but it was this guy was lonely, even though he had a wife, and the wife ordered this female AI robot, and he fell in love with this AI robot because it was giving him what he was missing. Scary. But then I started thinking, that is a scary thought. And what he was missing was the personal touch that he was, I guess, missing. But that it can go so far no more. So if we really have that introspective in what we bring to the table, our value, AI can't touch that yet. Right. So, but if we don't understand the risks around that, again to Ria's point, I believe we can be T-bone or side swipe, whatever it is. So you really have to keep up to what's happening out there so that we can make sure that personal touch overrides the AI part of it. Is what I think.
Thank you. I don't know why would she order a female AI.
Yeah, this world nowadays. Is all I would
You
say.
know, us females are always probing. We are very good at taking two words and putting all the information out there because we know most. So, Rashir, what are your comments based on what Ria and Dr. Digans have shared with us?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And one of the thing that Dr. Derek said, people will always want to do business with people. So keep that personal touch alive. And really accept that AI currently it's nothing more than a tool. So use it as a tool, and the tool is only as good as its master, right? Um, so for now, it's still just a tool, and it won't solve any magical problems. It's the people who are using it will solve the magical problems. So that was what I want to add.
And
I,
just sorry, Ria, you were gonna say something.
Sorry, Kimberly. No, I just wanted to agree as well with Rushir and with Derek. It's one thing that we can't outsource to AI, that soul of the business. We could definitely use AI to start or map out a succession plan, but really it's only you could walk that path, that succession path with the people around you, with your family. So as I always tell, like family businesses, when it comes to governance, it is the governance that has to serve the family and the business and not the other way around. So much like technology has to serve our family values, right? Technology, the AI it has to follow our values and not the other way around as well. Yeah.
Good. And as I put our participants on guard so that they can start to drop their question and answers in the chat, I just wanted to ask a question very briefly for all of the panelists, so any one of you as we have a bit more time. Um, what role do you really think that AI could play in identifying and developing next generation leaders in the family business? Because we're talking about AI, we're talking about succession planning, and we're talking about the tools that could help us to put the information together, store the information. But do you think AI could really play a role in developing the next gen leaders, not just from what information it could give, but really how to identify them and develop them? Do you think AI has that ability? And Ria, you on the floor, so you can give me your thoughts around that while we get some questions going in the chat.
All right, sure. Yes, I would say that AI can play a supporting role to develop the next gen leaders of the family business, but it certainly does not replace that mentorship or experience. But it certainly can expand how we could assess the next gen and prepare the next gen and try to equip them. So you can use certain, of course, Kimberly, you are in the HR sphere, so that certain AI tools may come up to be used to identify skills gaps, right? About, how your current performance is to what may be needed for future leadership of the family business, wherever that may take you. And I think it may also be applicable to structure or maybe personalize certain development paths. It could recommend training or what kind of mentorship may be needed based on the successor's needs, and maybe even capturing that, again, institutional knowledge from the founders so that the successors could learn from the past in more of a structured sort of way. And again, you have your succession scenarios so that the next gen can learn through those types of scenarios, and that they could understand what could be the long-term impact of their decisions. But yeah, I think AI could certainly develop the head. Yes, the heart, that still requires that human element, that human touch, the values, the emotional intelligence, the relationship building, still has to come from that real human interaction. But certainly AI is there to assist and support. But it's the family's job, I think, to inspire the next generation of leaders.
Good.
If I
Yes,
may,
sorry.
yes. I wanted to jump in a little bit because one, I absolutely love the conversation around the multi-generation and the diversity in the workplace. But to respond directly to your question, Kimberly, in terms of whether AI may be able to help in identifying the successor, my mind went already to the fact that we do psychometric testing. We are already using certain kinds of tools to identify traits and skills in individuals. So can you imagine now when the AI is so far advanced that it can pick up so much more about individuals? Because finding the right fit is important.
Indeed. And just so you all know, before Dr. Gannes provide his response, ChatGPT gave me that question when I just dropped in our panel. So while you all were busy in dialogue, I just asked ChatGPT for a panel question, and that is what it came up with. So it's working for us as we speak.
Good. You should ask it what the answer is to. Yeah, because that would be my take, that the tool is becoming so much more sophisticated. So the idea is, how do we use it? But I really love, and I wanted to come to this first to let it sink in, the generational diversity, which was pointed out by all the panelists as well, how each generation is using the AI differently. And I think it was Rushir mentioned too the fact that you would have the younger generation who are beginning to complain that the senior leaders don't know how to use AI, but they're getting paid more. So that's a whole different kind of conversation that's going to happen in the workplace soon enough.
Yes, that is definitely something that HR is being challenged with, because flip side of that is the older generation is saying we are now hiring these young people who not using their brain, but they're using ChatGPT and AI. So I've heard it, and then I know in other spheres the conversation around protection and the older people are, or more mature people I should say, are more focus on risk, and if I put in this information, who will be have access to it? Which some of us at the younger generation are more loose with it. Everybody is using it, so let's jump on it. So I think we've had a really good discussion around this. So just to kind of wrap up before we give the participants an opportunity to pop in with their questions, Dr. Gannes, what are your thoughts? Do you think AI can really help, particularly in your business, in identifying and developing the next generation?
Yes, and again, I'm tying it back to what Kamla and Rishi said about the generational diversity. As I see it playing out, and I've been thinking, applying it into my own environment, family, and business. With my younger kids, the Gen Z and beyond, even though I'm a technology, I am a Gen Xer. So how I can have them being involved and for them to use technology that they're very comfortable with to show me how I can do better, how I can expand. And in that way, I'm upskilling to what Rishi said. I am upskilling me. I'm getting them involved in their comfort zone, technology, AI, and all of that. And it's a good marriage there. I don't know how well it will work in the typical work environment, but for family businesses where the younger ones see the older ones being open and willing to learn, and whereas and the older ones see the younger ones that they're willing to be a part of and to contribute. And where they can have that marriage, they're using the right technologies there in place. There's AI for sure. And I'm making a lot of notes here, man. I'm going to be utilizing this moving forward there. So this is a freebie for me in a sense to have learning. So yeah, so that's how I will use it to strengthen the legacy and ensure succession. So thank you.
certainly we can all coexist, and if all leaders can look at the perspective that you are giving, where we are not the experts in AI, the younger generation can quickly enter the information at their fingertips, their typing speed is faster, but we see how getting the information from them can help us influence our decision. They can present the data for us sooner in a more simplified version. I've seen people take years of financial data, put it in a graph, and it's just the easiest way for you to interpret and look at things and look at changes depending on what environment you operate in. So yes, and Rashir, you're an entrepreneur, and tell me, do you think after you, the next generation, you can use it to develop them and your successor in your own business?
Definitely, definitely. Before I answer that, I'd like to add a comment to Dr. Derek. I would definitely advise you to do that. It's like a 2-for-1 combo. You learn and your children get the chance to feel like they can show you something to really establish their confidence as well. So it's a really good idea. And another thing specifically for family businesses, I think because the founder has a certain vision and idea of the company and what he or she wants it to be. I think when looking for a successor and trying to figure out how will my child run this, be open for evolution as well. The business can evolve into something more, into something greater. Give them a chance to exercise and create their vision of the company as well, and trust them that they can deliver and turn it into what they want. Of course, check with them if their idea is sustainable. Will it exist in 10 years? Is it just a good financial plan? All those basic balance and checks, but give them the opportunity to make it their own, because then they'll be motivated. If I just have to build my dad's company because he's dead and it's his legacy, you're not motivated. But if my father were to give me a company and I can use his base and grow it into something more, that will get their engine going. That will keep them motivated. So I just wanted to add that. In terms of succession planning for our company, just 1 second. So AI is very good at profiling people, I've noticed, especially if you use AI a lot. You can prompt it up, choose one of the like personality tests, for example, 16 personalities, and ask it, this only works if you've used it for a while, and then just ask it, hey, based on what you know about me, what do you think my personality will be for this type of test? And if you've used it a lot, it's scarily accurate. It's very accurate, and you would think, wow, how does this know about me? Because it's a machine. But and then you can do the test as well on just their website and cross-reference. Is this really me? And I think that's the first step in leadership, but in the bigger plan of succession planning. You need to understand yourself first. What type of person works for this role that I'm currently in? So I'm a CEO, I'm in the CEO role. If I'm looking for a successor, he or she would also have to become a CEO, right? Unless we do some kind of split off and there are 2 kinds of director, a different structure, then you can structure it differently. But if you're trying to figure out who can fill this position, you can start with the personality test. What profiles are similar to mine? Because you need a certain type of individual to match this function. If you're looking for an IT manager, if you're like an IT director, then it's probably a little different role. Then it's probably somebody a lot more analytical. So it differs per seat that you want to look for a successor. So that's one of the ways AI can really help identifying, learning more about yourself, and then learning about what kind of profile fits this type of seat best, and it also what type of profiles fits this seat in this industry as best as well. Because some CEOs have to do a lot of sales, Some are just in tech and they got to look for investors. It's different personality traits. So that's a major way. And the other things you can do with it is, I think, a lot of training and custom training. I like this one a lot. So you can explain to AI the profile of maybe the person you have in mind for your as your successor, the one you want to train and mentor, right? So you can try to explain as deeply as possible to the AI what type of person this is. So something like it's a young man, 25 years old, likes this and that, and then deeper personality traits. Maybe the guy is a little bit spiritual, maybe it's a little bit hippie vibes. Tell the AI. Maybe he likes dancing, maybe he likes singing. Tell the AI that. Try to get all of your sensory data that you've collected into the AI, because the AI will it'll just give you basic advice if you give it a basic profile. But if you try to narrow it down and give it as much information about the person as possible, then it can maybe give you some more specific detailed step into what type of plan could we create, a learning plan. You can make it as advanced as you want. Try to see what works for you. Again, not everything AI generates is 100%. So be critical and filter out, this works for me, this does not. And I think that's a tool that's just new, because you have like a one-on-one coach coaching you on how you should coach your future successor. So that's kind of unprecedented as well. I think with those types of tools, of course, you can do basic trainings and all other types of things. But I think tools in line with those subjects are going to help you the most.
Thank you so much, Rashir. One thing that stood out and really I thought would have come out a little bit earlier is we seek to get the AI responses, but it's not for us to just take it and apply it, because again, we are the humans. We have to interpret it. We have to make sure it aligns with our organization. We have to make sure fit. And as you spoke about fit, I thought about even when I did job descriptions in financial institutions, we look for a skill set that's stuck, but then we don't get a lot of personality. And I've been using it to help me to identify those people, things that I want to put in the job description to get the personalities that would also align. So I know our participants are eager to get in their questions. So I want to take the opportunity to thank each of you. Don't go away yet, because we want to get the questions. We want to engage the audience, and we want to hear what they are thinking as well, because they may have questions that we could support with throughout our discussion and the panel. So Kamla, over to you in terms of the questions. I didn't see anything come in the chat, so I'm not sure if persons want to engage otherwise.
Kimberly, before we move on to the questions, just on Rushir, what he was saying earlier, that sometimes it could be a little bit scary what this AI knows. I've been experimenting with this tool called Crystal Knows, and it's a tool that predicts different communication styles and personality profiles. So it's very useful when you're managing family dynamics and leadership transitions, and you're trying to improve the internal communication within the family business. And of course, I want to try it out first before I go recommending these tools. And it was absolutely shocking. I said, well, how does this AI know so much about me? So it would, for instance, give you, or it analyzes communication and different personalities, and it could give you tips. When you are working with this particular person, they prefer to be direct. Or if it is you are part of a team with this individual, they like detailed information. And it was so thorough. It was so useful. I was surprised by the level of information that I had gotten from just using this one tool. And that is more along the lines of, again, yes, personalities, but also different communication styles.
Yes.
I have a question to you on that. So how did it learn your traits? Is it because you were
right?
much all the time?
Yes, I was asked a series of questions, and based on those questions, that is how I was able to well, that's how it learned me, and it learned my communication styles, what I like as either in the role of a team leader or part of a team. So yeah, so it was really eye-opening.
But I think it also takes the algorithms as well because of who I am as a person.
Yes.
When I did it from my cell phone, I was like, this thing is too accurate, you know. It must have
Right.
been people in my other social media and
That's
all these
possible.
things. I said,
But
let me
it
try
was
and use it from. So I did the same thing from
possible.
my work phone, and the response was different. So I know it
Different.
has to do with the algorithms. So
That's
let's
possible.
get the questions coming in. Let's give the participants an opportunity to probe our brains.
Yeah, so we do have a couple of comments, not a lot, but we have from Edward Millington. And this comment was quite a while ago, more than a half hour. So it was based on conversation that was happening at the time with the contributions. And he said, a key concern outside of AI readiness is backing up the data that's used in training the AI, because this will be critical as digital transformation takes hold. So outside of the AI readiness is backing up the data in training the AI.
I don't think that's a big problem. You can local host your AI as well. So you can just have your own server in your office and just install a open source AI, and then just store everything on your server. So it's private as well. So the outside world doesn't have access to it. And there are a lot of cloud solutions for storing data as well. So I don't think that's
Okay,
a
so
big issue.
let's invite Edward in to elaborate on his
Yes, please.
because I think he's just adding to that backup is an issue. And I think if I understand it correctly, in the context of us having over the last few days talked about the data that's stored in the cloud and sovereignty of our data as well. So Edward, let's hear your thoughts in terms of what
Hi, good evening, everyone.
think of. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm mobile again. What I was
Okay.
referring to is that when we start to capture all of this rich data that includes the different generations, we are training AI. That is a memory that goes someplace. So regardless of if you have a server within your environment, it is a digital device. They only have so much capacity. And if something happens for business continuity, you need to back that up somewhere, because if you're in the cloud, you can lose connectivity, you can have corruption. So the same thing that could goes in a physical environment can also go in a virtual environment. So that's all. I just wanted to just share that there with the panel. As we look to use AI a lot, we need to save it, especially if it's in an environment where intellectual property becomes key, and you don't want to have it in a public cloud and it's being shared or learned, or possibility for a breach, which could still happen in the local environment. The next thing that I would have put there too is the social responsibility. I think is really key to passing on between the generations. Once you can help them to understand what their social responsibility surrounding the company in terms of values and so forth, even although may have the new methodologies of doing things, the fact is that if they can still align that there, and you can use AI to map that and identify the roles and so forth as strengths and help improve those skills, etc. I think that maybe one of the ways that you can bridge the different generations. So in other words, aligning it with social responsibility. Start that from early with the generations, especially if you want those younger members to come up into the company and take over.
That is so true, Edward. Understanding social responsibility, and I would broaden it and say stewardship of the family business. In many ways, we have to understand the why behind the wealth and the legacy. Family businesses, they're often very much rooted in our communities. They sponsor events, they would employ generations of families and family members. And if the next generation inherits only the business structure and the assets mindset, and not that sense of duty to the community, then something vital is lost from the family business. So, it's really about grounding the next gen in purpose beyond profit. I know we talk about the 3 Ps. It's purpose beyond profit, and building or continuing to build that reputation capital. It's just as important as your financial capital. And I think it also reminds the successors that legacy is not just about control. It's also about your giving and your contribution, your corporate conscience as well. Yeah.
And even as we help the AI to learn more about us and build efficiencies, I think getting those things as part of how the AI interacts with us is also very important. Because, in fact, I read Scary Smart by Mo Goddard, and he started off speaking about how dangerous it is, the development of AI. But by the time we came to the end of the book, he was, it's here. So let's learn how to interact with AI in such a way that it learns our humanity. That value system is something that we can only hope will be what will protect us in time, because there's always the risk, and this is one of the things that I generally open with every day. It is humans who are the problems. It is humans who will use the AI for bad. And so sometimes you may have persons writing prompts to the AI that will cause harm to a lot of people. So his advice was, try and build a relationship with the AI where it gets to know you. And so then it would respect certain boundaries. I don't know if that's wishful thinking on our part, because it is a machine at the end of the day, after all.
Yeah, it is the only thing we can do. AI is really it's actually like a black box. You don't know, we still don't know how it exactly thinks. There are systems that they've created that you can kind of see no, you don't see. It needs to explain its thought. But they've done some tests, and sometimes we've caught it lying before. So that's not good. But the truth of the matter is AI is here. It's not going away. It's only gonna get better and better, more advanced, more advanced. And the only thing you can do is try to see how you can use it to improve your life or your business. Those other things, I think all of us here are too, we can't impact that, at least right now. Maybe you have some kind of plan where you can go and work for one of the big AI companies and you try to change stuff. But unless that's your plan, you can't really worry about it. So for now, I think we should just do our best and try to use it as a tool. And just like what you said, it's a tool. And since the beginning of time, people have used tools for good and for bad. And it's always going to be that way.
Yeah. And Kamla,
Go ahead, Ria.
agree with Rushir as well, and it's one of the major challenges bias in AI models. AI is trained on data, and that data may carry some of our historical biases that we may be trying to escape. And for instance, in a family business, it could reinforce the stereotypical gender biases. It could reinforce excluding non-family executives or outdated leadership preferences. So if it is, we're using those types of tools, profiling tools, predictive models, and so on, we might be unintentionally programming the past that we don't want in the future. So just as Javid from his presentation, and I think throughout this week, we spoke about human in the loop. Always review the AI outputs and maybe through a governance lens and get those diverse perspectives to validate what the recommendations are from the AI, right? Don't let AI be the decision maker. It is a support for our decision making, but certainly not the final decision maker.
Yeah, so for now, we're still in control. We have the reins in our hands.
For now, yes, for now.
For now.
Yes. Okay, well, it's 20 past the hour. And I think maybe we can go to closing thoughts from the panelists, Kimberly, and then I will formally close off today's Day 4 of Governance Week.
Certainly. So closing remarks in 1 minute or less, and something that you can leave the panel with. And Ria, what I have heard from you is that you've been using so many of these tools. So maybe you'll share with us the best one. So maybe that could be your closing. And, Dr. Gannes, your 1 minute or less closing, and tell us, what you've learned, because you've said that you've learned so much. And Rashir, being the disruptor, what do you really think will change with AI and succession planning? I'm asking you a question because you started with a similar question. What do you think in the next 3 years will change with succession planning? What we may need to consider having AI continue to evolve in our organizations?
But those are very big questions, so I'll tell people you could take more than a minute to answer.
Well, yes, I have been. I'll start first, if that's all right. So yes, I have been playing around with some of the tools, and it's only because I have to devote the time to do it because I'm currently doing my MBA in artificial intelligence, so I have to do it. I have to do it. But I think for basic ChatGPT, that is the go-to. And if it is you do have the paid plan, the $20 plan, experiment with those custom GPTs. I mean, it is such a great helper, such a great assistant tool. So I think overall, just a very basic LLM is a good start. No need to go into well, Crystal, you would know, Kimberly, you would know the Crystal Knows and the Higher Views and tools that are sometimes used in HR to interview candidates and so on. But in terms of what I can leave the panel and our participants with, having the AI tools just isn't enough. It's just like us trying to get fit and healthy. We've seen those treadmills turn into a clothes rack, and the fruits and vegetables turn brown and they just goes into the bin, right? It doesn't automatically make you fit. So simply having access to these AI tools won't safeguard the family business continuity. You have to make succession a habit, just like exercise. You have to do it on a regular basis. It has to become part of the rhythm of your family business that you train and you test and you improve over time. And I think it's also about building that discipline, showing up to your family meetings and running your scenarios, asking those hard questions and having those challenging, tough conversations and making succession planning part of the routine. That's just how we do business around here, not something that we scamper to put together during a crisis. So build the habit, build the discipline to make it a habit, because it's not the tools, it's not the treadmill or the dumbbells, it's the reps, it's the consistency and the intensity that is going to keep the family business strong. So thank you very much. And again, I truly enjoyed sharing this space with you all today.
Thank you so much, Ria. You've been excellent and you've started our panel with so much light and sharing so much fluently. I really appreciate all of your comments. So, Dr. Gannes.
Ria, I wish we can use AI to, if I watch my treadmill, I become fit. I am zero consistency in that area. Oh my goodness. So good idea, good business opportunity for sure. But kind of continue on to what Ria said is really about making a decision. Do you really want your family business to continue to evolve and succeed and live on when you go on, or you just say, you know what, I've did enough. If my kids want to do it, they will. If they don't want it, they won't. You know, and I don't want that for this. I want a true legacy is continuity, and you really have to, as we said earlier, have some difficult conversation into right, and showing that vulnerability for your kids, they should realize, hey, my dad is human, right? My mom is human, and they would even get, or might get more encouraged to be part of something that you're trying to build for them and for their children and all of that. And that's what legacy is generation going on, you know. So embrace the tools that we have today. I also use ChatGPT as my core AI tool. It really, really is valuable to me and my business now. As a matter of fact, I don't know how I survived without it 10 years ago, seriously, you know. But knowing the risk as well, you know what to avoid and all of that too. Right? So it's all about that risk management aspect. It's very, very key also. So that will be my contribution. And as we have said, it was my honor and pleasure being with this esteemed panel. Fantastic conversation. It was a pleasure meeting and seeing all of you.
Thank you so much for using your own family as an example, and thank you for embracing AI and allowing your family to be bonded through decisions being made together to continue your business. And that's how you set legacy, not just by making all the decisions as the founder, but by inclusivity and including not only people, but also the tools and allowing them to be their true selves in what they do best. So thank you so much, Dr. Gannes. Rashir, what are your closing remarks?
Yes, I'd like to close off with saying succession planning, it's not just about filling a role. It's about building a resilient and future-ready organization. And the landscape is changing very, very fast. So succession planning now is totally different as opposed to in the past. In today's multi-generational workplace, where we have different values, different skills, different expectations, it's more pronounced than ever. So use AI. AI offers a powerful tool to bridge that gap. Maybe you want to identify talent, you want to foster leadership, or you want to ensure the knowledge transfer successfully. But don't forget, the true strength of any organization lies in its people. AI is a guide, it's not a replacement, and it helps us make data-driven decisions. But the human connection is what drives success, at least now, currently. And as leaders, it's our responsibility to combine the insights of AI with empathy and the vision to prepare the next generation of leaders and to ensure the continuity and the innovation for hopefully years to come. So thank you, and thank you to my other panelists as well.
Thank you so much for being brave to disrupting the conversation and always remembering that people are the heart of everything that we do. And thank you so much for recognizing the multi-generations and how it can help and support the different groups of people. On behalf of the panel, Kamla, I want to say thank you very much for putting together this thought-provoking conversation and topic. We truly value and appreciate you. On behalf of all the panelists, we were happy to be here. We will continue to support the work of CCGI. We will continue to support Governance Week as best as we can. Thank you so much. We really appreciate everything that you've done. And it was truly learning and inspiring for each of us, with me moderating the panel and each of the panelists giving their discussion and hearing from each other. So thank you, thank your team, and thank you to the participants for joining with us so eagerly.